I've noted in passing my disdain for Gundam Seed, primarily drawing on the media itself for what turns me off about it. Granted, I haven't read these Stray mangas, and I'm not in any hurry to. I'd rather just enjoy what I can out of the main 5 Gundams for now. Well, at least until they all get animated, which seems to be happening sooner than I thought. Still, I got a hold of all 5 of the original Gundams from the first half of Gundam Seed in Robot Damashii form, and I'm going to review all of them, starting with our main man himself. Robot Damashii number 100, Side MS Aile Strike Gundam. Of course, Mr. Yamato's first MS has to be a big deal with that shiny 100 on the box that denotes its place as the 100th Robot Spirits mainline release. There are also these, awkwardly worded highlights on the back. Stream curve, full leg open, and edge of wedge. Make of that what you will. Out of the box, first thing that strikes me about this Strike Gundam is the distinctive proportions. This was very much before the current trend of anime accuracy, making this and the rest of the Seed figures out to be fairly thin and stylized. Though, to be fair, that's not totally inaccurate to their on-screen appearance at times. Compared to the HGCE Strike mold, which is already kind of slender in design, this Strike Gundam is kind of gangly. I'm not super opposed to this, but I certainly prefer the HGCE model more overall for its proportions over this. In any case, this Strike Gundam is essentially the baseline design around which the remaining G-Weapon Gundams base their overall aesthetics. So it should come as no surprise as we go along through these reviews the shared design similarities. Color won't be one of those things though. Being as it is your typical lead Gundam, it has all the lead Gundam color staples, red, white, blue for most of this figure and all the correct places, yellow eyes and head fins, couple dabs of metallic blue for the forehead cameras, gray joints, gunmetal for all the exposed X100 frame bits. Good colors look even better in motion, and despite being a somewhat older Spirits release, this Strike is no slouch. Double ball jointed neck with a mid joint for your speed highway puns. Internal shoulder hinges forward ever so slightly. Ball joint here. Shoulder pads move up separately. Shoulders go up yay far, twist, and double elbow. Swiveling hinge and ball for wrists. Double ball jointed midsection for a decent crunch. Skirt panels all on ball joints, even the back ones. Hips are universal joints with an interesting pivot point. Double jointed knees with separated knee pads that also move. Ball joint upper ankle, deep pivot, ball jointed ankle armor, and some up and down mid-foot action. The Strike is certainly a decently posable son of a gun for how slender it is. I even like how simple the hip mechanism works. It is still a single swivel rather than any internal rocking joint mechanism, but the center of pivot still lets it kick the legs up pretty high. The offset, of course, being it can't bring the legs back very far, which I don't consider that important, but what does bother me somewhat is that the legs can't come in very close. The waist swivel also suffers since the central skirt sections get in the way, and for what little extra movement they afford, the inner shoulders don't do a lot. From what I recall, other updated versions of this mold modify the torso somewhat to overcome this issue, but this is the first release Strike, so I have to live with it. Still, this figure will strike quite a decent number of poses if you want it to. Time to touch off an accessory, starting with the hands as follows. Fists, gripping hands, trigger finger hands, and splayed hands. The aforementioned gripping hands can grip the included Armor Schneider blades, which don't have any folding articulation or storage options. Beam rifle can fit in either trigger finger hand, and has a movable handle, but no paint for the scope, unfortunately. Shield is dutifully painted though, white, red, yellow, and gunmetal, and has ball socket for attaching to the forearm via this mounting clip that can peg in one of these 3 spots on each arm. Of course, this is the Aile Strike Gundam, so the Aile Strike pack is here and fully colored in black, red, yellow, white, and gunmetal for inside the boosters, which is a nice touch actually. It attaches to the back quite securely and features some articulation of its own. Wings flip up and down, Bottom boosters are on ball joints. The bracket those are mounted on can lift up as well. The middle of the pack can be bent down, and each saber handle can swivel. And since I brought them up, the sabers do come out and fit into the gripping hands, and the figure does include saber blades as well. Lastly, it comes with its own display stand, and a mounting brace that slots in under the back of the pelvis. So the Aile Strike comes with everything you could ask for, as far as what typically comes with most given Aile Strike sets anyway. The Strike pack itself surprised me by having the middle part jointed so that the wings can angle back for flight poses, which I don't think any other kit or figure does except the metal build. It's also pretty nice how you can mount the shield higher up, lower down, or even underslung, but it kinda bothers me that there's no handheld option, given how often in the show it held it that way. It looks like the Veranime figure may rectify this. Also, it's kinda small. Like, here it is next to the HGCE Aile Strike shield, and here's both of those next to the MSIA one. It's kinda silly, to be honest. Then there's the saber blades themselves, which are very simple, no-frill affairs, and also rather short. Shorter than the HGCE and the MSIA saber blades. Again. Of course, if you have some more dynamic blades from another figure, they're compatible all the same. I'd also leave a complaint about the armor Schneiders not folding up or storing, but I turned back to the MSIA figure and, well, that didn't work out too well, so I think it's worth not bothering with that gimmick. Again, it looks like the Veranime will do something about this. Lastly, the stand is very awkward. At first glance, I thought it was supposed to stand up like this, but actually it's supposed to go this way, which isn't too bad if you have the figure in the right balance, but if you don't have it balanced right, it's not going to work. And just a fair warning, all 5 of these figures have this stand in different colors, so have fun trying to set up a display with all of them. Before we wrap up, let's get into some comparisons with the HGCE Aile Strike Gundam again. Now, at this point, I can certainly say that the Robot Spirits Aile Strike Gundam action figure is a good solid figure with little to no extra frills. Sure, it isn't laden with effect parts and is rather lacking compared to what modern Veranime line figures are capable of to an extent, but I don't think that's something I would consider a deal breaker. Is it worth the aftermarket prices though? I don't think so. If you're like me and would only really go after a figure to fill in a missing spot in your model collection, or the figure in question is just more up to current standards than the equivalent model at the same scale, well, first of all, the HGCE model exists, and it does just fine for what it is, even if it isn't perfect. The big red bits on the wings are wraparound stickers, and there are a number of details you'd have to put extra effort in picking out yourself, but it's a lot cheaper and the proportions are a lot more on point. Alternatively, there's the entry grade model, which may simply be a lot more accessible to most consumers for the simplicity of its construction and does a slightly better job with color separation in most respects. If, on the other hand, you want nothing to do with kits and want a good, solid Strike Gundam action figure, well, the Veranime figure was announced well before I could bring the script to recording, and by the look of things, it's going to have a lot of points over this old figure in its favor. As an additional note, the Strike packs are completely incompatible between kits and figures, so if you're thinking that might be a benefit of getting this figure for the Strike packs that are meant for it, well then no. Though that raises the question of whether existing Striker packs will be compatible with the future figures or not. We shall see. Until next time, this has been a Devasia Mentality Review. Check the description for links to my Instagram, eBay sales page, and Amazon wishlist. And if you care to support future reviews and animations, please click the coffee link and make a donation. No pressure, just saying these toys and models aren't free, you know. Stay tuned for the next The Seed Robot Damashii reviews, and peace out.